Let's go back to the polls and bring in Matt Canavan, the National Senator now, who joins us live. Senator, good morning to you. So those new polls show both parties have dropped in both ratings. So is a hung parliament becoming more likely?
Well, that'll be up to the voters, Peter, in a few weeks' time. There's no doubt that there is a frustration out in the Australian community, some of it to do with the coronavirus, the fallout from that, the continuing impact of vaccine mandates, which should have been gone yesterday. And obviously that's leading to some discontent and a lower primary vote for the major parties. But I would warn people, we haven't had a vote yet, I would warn people that now is not the time to have the chaos of a hung parliament. We have faced very uncertain times across the world and in our region, and right now we need a government with the authority, the strength to chart us through those choppy waters. I don't think Anthony Albanese is that solution. He's proven that just in 1 week. But the Liberal National Party government has got a strong plan to protect jobs in the coal mining industry, the mining industry across Australia. That's where I'm in Newcastle today, to give us the wealth and the strength to face these difficult times in our region.
Yeah, well, independents, could they become kingmakers? And the Prime Minister yesterday, he didn't exactly rule out doing a deal with the Teals. How would you feel about that?
Well, I think there's a lot of media speculation about this. We are focused on winning in 32 days' time. That's my number one focus. I don't contemplate doing any deal, so to speak, and we've got a very, very strong plan for the electorate. I think we'll wait and see what happens on election night, but I don't think we'll be in that position. Well, I just don't. I'm not contemplating that because I don't think that will be the outcome. Yes, there's a lot of speculation on polls, but we've seen them being very wrong before. And let's just wait and see what the result is.
Well, two of those Teals in Victoria specifically want 60% cuts to emissions by 2030, not far away. Is that even possible?
Well, I think it's if we possibly tried it, we'd be put in an impossible position as a country. You can already see a situation where electricity prices are skyrocketing as we shut old coal-fired power stations without a replacement. The rest of the world is desperate for our energy, for our coal, for our gas, and we should be doing more to supply that because that will reduce the dependence of especially Europe on Vladimir Putin and take away his leverage to fund his aggressive and barbaric wars. That's why we get behind these things. And, you know, the independents can say what they like, but what we know from Anthony Albanese in the Labor Party, which is a real risk of a Labor government, that is a risk for us all. If they come about, they will put in place a new form of carbon and mining taxes that will effectively
they've said there'll be no tax changes.
No, they do. They absolutely do. They have their climate policy, which will require 19 iron ore mines over there in Western Australia to buy carbon credits every year. And that's a tax. Carbon credits cost money. So they're putting a tax on the iron ore mines over there in WA. 9 gold mines in WA will similarly be this tax. It's a mining tax. About 50 coal mines around Australia, including 15 of them here in the Hunter, will be taxed. In fact, here in the Hunter where I am, there are 10,000 jobs at mines and the Tomago aluminium smelter, which will be targeted by Labor's new carbon tax. Those mines and the smelter will be required to buy carbon credits, more and more of them every year. That'll be an extra burden on their business. That'll put at risk those 10,000 jobs here in the Hunter. And we want to protect those jobs because those 10,000 jobs in the Hunter region, it's not just those direct jobs. It's the business that they provide to contractors, to small businesses. It's the hotels that put them to sleep at night. It's all of these businesses in this region rely on that industry that Labor are targeting with a new form of carbon tax. And so yesterday, Anthony Albanese said he welcomes new coal mines, but in the fine print of his climate policy, he's putting a tax on all of those coal mines. How is that going to work?
Well, I didn't want to ask you that because, yes, Anthony Albanese did say that yesterday, that he supports new coal mines. The Greens and the Teals don't, though. So what does this mean for new coal mines, with all of that said?
Well, look, I mean, Anthony Albanese says today that he'll support them if they commercially stack up. Just a few years ago, he said there was no market for Australian coal anymore. Just have a look at the market. Numbers are not Anthony Albanese's strong suit. We know that. But yesterday, the coal price was over $300 a tonne. It normally sits at around $100 a tonne. This is ridiculous levels of price because there are ridiculous demands for our coal given the energy shortage we're seeing in Europe. And so if these Greens and Teals get their fantasies fulfilled by a Labor coalition government and end coal mining, that will be a disaster, as I say, for those 10,000 jobs in the hunt, a disaster for Australia. But it'll also be a disaster for the world, because it will mean the world becomes more reliant on energy sources from the Middle East, from Russia, where there is not exactly free and open liberal democracies. We should be returning and bringing back energy production in the Western world to the Western world, so we can defend the Western free world from the aggression we're seeing from others.
Yeah, but potentially, I mean, if it's a minority government that Labor wins and they're reliant on the independents don't want coal, Queensland might not ever get one, at least in the next few years.
Well, let's just see what happens, Peter. As I say, I believe in the common sense of the Australian people. This conversation sounds very similar to one I had 3 years ago with media saying, oh, the Adani mine will never get up, people don't support it, there's a green wave coming across the country. Well, look what just happened. The common sense of the Australian people shone through, the quiet Australians stood up, and that Adani mine now is employing 2,000 people. And again, the people like Mark Butler in the Labor Party were saying that, oh, if we open the Adani mine, it's going to crash the coal price and people down here in the Hunter will lose their jobs. What a load of rubbish. They're completely wrong. How can these guys at all keep their jobs or have any sense of credibility given their record of total ignorance on energy markets and how hopeless things would be if they had ever got in charge and did what they said they were going to do?
OK, Matt Canavan, we'll leave it there. Matt Canavan, live for us from Newcastle. Looks like a cracking day in Newcastle.